This is Call Clegg with Nick Ferrari at breakfast, only on LBC.
It's 9 o'clock on Thursday the 19th of February, and that means it's time for Call Clegg with me, Nick Clegg, here on LBC. So I'll be taking your questions for the next half an hour. Do get in touch on 0345 6060 973 or email at nickclegg@lbc.co.uk, and of course you can watch on the website.
We have another call to go to.
Clark in Brighton. Hello, Clark.
Hello. I'll just start with a little context. I was diagnosed with MS in 2010, and to cut a long story short, that cannabis really helps to alleviate my symptoms more than anything else. I've been campaigning with the United Patients Alliance. I want legal access to cannabis. In my time campaigning, I've spoken to literally thousands of people who found that cannabis is a medicine that helps them. Considering this and considering the huge amount of scientific evidence which shows that medical cannabis is effective, why are you not doing more about it? And I'd like to get your word, and I'd like to get an agreement from you live on LBC that you are going to do more to make this a big issue, because this really does affect people's lives. We need access to legal medical cannabis, because then I could have a job and I want to contribute to society. Why is this being denied to people, and what are you going to do about it?
Clark, I mean, I basically agree with you. In fact, I strongly agree with you that where there is a proven medicinal use for cannabis, for instance, we should make that easier for those to have access to it in a sort of straightforward legal way, in order to alleviate the symptoms that you clearly have, that you know as a user are alleviated by the use of cannabis. I think more generally, Clark, I mean, you may have seen the study this week that says that the use of skunk has, in fact, quite the reverse effect. It appears to have a link to a greater incidence of psychosis, and that's why my view is if you're anti-drug, if you're anti the harm that drugs do, then you should be pro-reform, and that's why I've always argued. And you say I haven't been outspoken about this. I'm going to be very outspoken about this. I've said that this slightly boneheaded approach, which says you treat all drugs in exactly the same way, you treat everyone who's ever had access to drugs in exactly the same way, you chuck them in. We chuck 500 people, I think, a year for using cannabis for personal use, maybe some of them even for medicinal use, for all I know, into jail. And yet we allow the Mr. Bigs who peddle the really nasty drugs like skunk and other drugs, we let them walk scot-free. What is the sense in that? And that's why I, basically, with you, Clark, let's take a more intelligent approach. Let's, where there is a clear medicinal use, make sure that you have access to that in a regulated way. Come down much, much more heavily on the people who peddle the really harmful drugs, and bring drugs out from the shadows, so we don't simply just chuck lots of people into jail who simply get hooked on to harder drugs and get on the treadmill of drug addiction. Many drug addicts, as you probably know, Clark, need to be treated as well as punished.
All right. A couple of questions from me before I let you go, because we're virtually out of time.